Welcome to the Dummy Plug Book Club! Yay! We have a guest.
Hi, I'm Lilith.
That's the intro. That's the big intro that everyone was so excited about.
Like awkward silence. Hey.
I'm still here. You didn't get rid of me yet, Internet.
I'm never leaving.
Never!
Alright, so today is Volume 3.
Yes, Volume 3, yes.
Illuminati.
Yeah, alright, so...
Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Yeah, good luck on that one. So we're still not that far away from the original run of Ava when we get to Volume 3. It was released in October of 1996, so we're still within about a year and change of the start of Ava, and we're about 6 months or so after it ends. So we're still kind of in this little limbo period between when the original series has ended, and I'm sure at this point Anno is furiously working on End of Ava to throw the middle finger to all the fans, as, you know, many of us has posturized before. So, we're going to start this tale with we're still at the train station, god damn it.
So, for the folks at home who don't know, all of us sort of forgot to reread Volume 3 before this.
Oh, no, I did. I actually did reread it. No, I did. I'm sorry, I'm not in the same boat as you.
It's just me.
No, just
well,
you?
Thanks for throwing me under the bus, you guys.
No, Kamala,
I threw both
don't
of
worry.
you.
I'm under the bus with you.
No,
Awesome.
I threw both of you under the bus. Because I'm incredibly strong, I'm a manly man, I can do that, yeah.
Alright, guys, thumbs up, let's do this.
Okay.
Cool.
Alright, so, they don't get on the train. Nerve is really pissed off because Shinji wasted like $5 for that bus ticket, or that train ticket.
Oh no! $5! What about that $5 bajillion used to repair the Avas? That's no big deal, but $5.
Yeah, remember, according to Sele standards, $5 billion for instrumentality. Okay, $5 for train ticket. How dare you!
Hey, they don't waste.
The worst.
Sure they don't.
Everything is pivotal. Everything.
Wasting money? Sele, what?
Yeah, exactly.
All of those vending machines full of coffee for like the 3 people who work there.
You know what? That product placement is real important.
Too bad we don't get that in the manga.
We actually do. Like, sometimes you'll see, like, it's kind of like a jab at the original running of the TV show, like, oh, here's the coffee, or Pizza Hut, whatever, I don't know. Did they even have Pizza Hut back then?
Yes, we had Pizza Hut back then.
So,
right.
Yes.
So Toji and Kensuke are here.
Yay.
time to get up.
I kind of like this scene better than when they did it in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the show, Shinji punches him back. And here he's like, nah, I'll let you owe me. And I thought that was kind of funny.
Yeah, I feel like that's a really good jab at, like, all the fans were like, oh, Shinji needs to man up, blah, 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 and then apparently, like, punching someone in the face is, like, super manly and reasonable. So, like, I agree. It's kind of like, I feel like it suits Shinji's personality better because he's just so not violent. Like, every single scene we see of him doing anything, there's almost this kind of, like, hesitation or, like, not necessarily peacemaking, but definitely not wanting to cause people trouble. So I do definitely agree, like, in the idea that he's like, no, I'm not gonna go out of my way to hurt someone. I do that enough whenever I get in the robot.
Well, in the manga, too, he's snarky. Like,
yeah, he is.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like, it'll be more fun that way than Toji just rips off a, you rotten rat bastard chicken shit. Like, wow, all right. Jeez.
I feel like all the characters have so much more attitude in the manga. Like, with Shinji and then with Rei, like, you know, Rei talks more, so Rei has more of a chance to be a character, really, and it's surprising seeing Rei with so much attitude, because what I always liked about Rei was that they were always just very, like, succinct, and didn't say more or less than they needed to. It was always just a blank statement, but it's kind of weird in the manga seeing, like, you know, kind of that sort of witty sarcasm it's like, is that really Rei? What?
It's nice to see them given a more of a personality and a more well-rounded personality in the manga, and I hate the fact that they had to sacrifice it in the show, but
Yeah.
I understand why. I don't have to like it.
Well, does personality necessarily mean having to be more snarky, though, is my issue. Because, I mean, it's nice to add that, but I feel like that got added to all the characters. Like, with Misato, I felt like... Because Misato gets more playful, and I liked that, but do all of them have to be snarky to get more character?
No, not necessarily.
It's just giving them all more opportunities to develop their characters.
I suppose. I guess my one criticism is that I guess that it could have been done in more variety that better suited the characters. Like I mentioned with Rei is very passive, so like Rei being snarky, which is more an assertive trait, is kind of out of character, really, in my opinion, at least.
Or the fact that a couple of pages over, when Shinji and Misato go back into Nerve headquarters, Rei's got this, "Oh shit, what are you doing here?" look on her face. Ball? Then it's like, "Oh, you're back."
Like, oh, it's you. Okay.
And why does Shinji have to say her name like... What, did the viewers forget who Rei is? Like, magically between volumes 2 and 3?
I think it might be that... Oh, go ahead, Kamal.
Oh, Rei hasn't done much at this point. Like, Rei piloted Unit 1 at the beginning, and then it was just sort of, yeah, that's the one with the bandages.
That's the guilt trip machine. Yeah, that was my thing. And then the big thing in Eva, and this might be like overanalyzing like Eva fans like to do, in Eva is the whole establishing identity and the self thing. So, and Rei's big thing was that Rei always let other people tell them who they are. So with Shinji saying, "Oh, this is Rei," that kind of plays into that whole theme. So, I'm actually re-looking at the part with Gendo where he pulls off, where Unit 0 goes like totally bazongo, and he pulls off the hatch, and it's just he's so surprisingly soft. Like I don't know what other word to, like, describe Gendo, but he's just so all over the place even in this just one volume. Like, you see so much of him. And I really enjoy that because he's more than just like, oh, evil, big bad dad. You get the idea that he really picks and chooses who he cares about. And that makes the whole deal with Shinji like even worse, because it's like he chooses to care about Rei, he chooses to care about, other things, very little things. Rei being, of course, the image of Yui, but then you have like Shinji, who he's like, oh, I guess it's that thing. Like, ouch.
Yeah.
Makes the whole deal worse.
What I like about this, too, is, like, what you're describing with him being, like, soft, is I like when he ends up losing his glasses because of how much he looks like Shinji.
Yeah!
Like, it sort of solidifies that sort of relationship.
Yeah.
Like, how much they really are like each other.
Yeah, now that you point that out, that's so true. And, like, even the way he's kind of behaving, where, like, Shinji will just... When Shinji gets decisive, Shinji will run into something. Like, we saw it in Volume 1 with him running to Sachiel, which I loved that change, by the way. But him running to Sachiel, we see this kind of parallel with Gendo being decisively running to Rei to go save them. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, you see it later, too. I think during Instrumentality, he loses his glasses, and it's a pretty similar scene.
Yeah.
All right, so for the viewers at home, that was sort of the flashback when talking about the burns on Gendo's hands.
Yeah.
Snow...
It doesn't quite have the same impact in the manga because you don't hear you don't get to hear Gendo.
Yeah.
You can hear the obvious concern in his voice through the entire thing, and it's like it's lost with the manga. I mean, we're never going to claim the manga is perfect. It does do a lot of things better than the show does at times, but yeah, that is one thing where it's nice to see both because you get like the best picture possible, like what's possibly going through Gendo's head.
Yeah, and like with all the character development and stuff, yeah, the effects are really lost in this scene, but I think part of that for me is like in other parts of the manga we have like with some of the additional scenes and the way they were developed, and like you can see the minute change in facial expression and attitude, but I felt like since in this particular case, with the flashback, it was so similar, minus the parallel to Shinji. I feel like some of the drama definitely was lost. Wow, my brain just took a left turn and I forgot what I was going to say. But yeah, point being, the stuff I said.
When we get to this part in the show, do they make reference to the fact that the angels and their DNA, as I'm just going to call it, do we get the fact that it's a match for the Evas in the show? Because I don't think we do.
I thought we did.
Is that scene? I don't think that scene is even there.
Yeah, because Misato brings over the coffee. Yeah. I think this is what that part is. Misato brings over the coffee, and they're talking about that, and they're like, "Oh, we analyzed it," and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I remember that part. I don't remember. I remember them talking about it being like the angels are nearly identical to humans. I don't remember that. I don't remember that being the same as the Evas.
I don't think they ever talked about the Evas, but I know they talked about the angels having that much similarity to humans.
Yeah, I do remember that part, but I think we don't get the whole thing about them being that being the same as the Evas in the show, and that's kind of a crucial little detail that I think a lot of people, if they read the manga, might have they may miss that if they're not paying attention.
Mhm.
Well, I think they're setting up for a lot of the big reveals that they put on later in the show earlier.
Yeah, I agree. That makes things less surprising, but it does make more sense. I know for when I was watching the show, I had to rewatch it like 3 times before I fully got everything because the show just suddenly pulls things on you. They mention something once and then it shows up later, and then you're like, well, where the heck did that come from? And with the manga, it's more like gradually poking you harder until you're like pushed into the scene, kind of like a training wheels, sort of.
Yeah, I remember in EOE, there's just like a scene where Misato's driving and just expositioning at Shinji. There could have been so many
exposition dump.
Like she's telling you all this stuff that it wouldn't have been that hard to sort of disperse it throughout the rest of the show.
I like this, like, they're playing sports together for a moment. You kind of see them being normal. Like, you have so much more scenes in the manga of them just being, like, normal, doing, like, normal teenager things.
Are you talking about now chapter 14?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know. It's really nice. I think we talked about this at ASEN with Carl Horn, about how so many people just want to see the lighter side of these characters, and we get that kind of feel in the manga. It's nice.
You mean especially when Shinji just like auto reacts to Toji yelling and just rams his fingers up his nose?
Yeah.
Love him.
Just totally dead-eyed.
Just like, hey, I'm casually sticking my fingers in someone's nose. What's up?
And see, it's like as this is developing, it's almost like it was in the show until Shinji rams his fingers up Toji's nose, and then it just takes a hysterical turn.
I
think it's sort of running with the theme, like he's trying to get her to smile.
Yeah.
It definitely does a better job of doing that than the original show, which is all like, oh man, Rei never smiles and she's always alone and
so apathetic and mysterious.
And Shinji's kind of, and the thing is that Shinji's also so kind of miserable at this point as well in the show. So he's all just like, oh, we're running, and I'm still having my, like, an existential crisis. It's like, I like this more. This is nicer.
Well, it's not only that. I think it's more realistic as far as a because if we think about it, the kids are representations of how depression manifests in different people on different walks of life. And, being depressed, you're not always going to be like, I'm sad, and I'm mopey, and I'm blah, blah, blah. And we definitely get more of you can be upbeat at times and be depressed too, and we definitely get more of that. It's more realistic, The anime is always credited like, oh, this is the most realistic portrayal, but it's really not. It's almost tropey how they're showing depression.
Yeah, well, I don't think Anno knew how to do it that well, unfortunately.
Well, also consider they had less time, whereas didn't this take like 20 years to finish?
Yes.
And Sadamoto worked on it whenever he wanted, and it still managed to sell because it's Eva. So, you could wait 10 years, and it's like, oh my god, it's Eva, we'll buy all of it. So
yeah, we will. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Also, yes, you are correct. It did take Sadamoto a long goddamn time to get the manga done. So yeah, it's also he got leeway that I don't know if anyone else, if they had done this, would have gotten.
Yeah.
Because he does take his own course through Eva, like, lore.
Well, and, Ava's a cash cow, that's the thing. And Sadamoto is the person, he's the guy. And so I don't get this feeling that you can really be, you can push him around, because he'll be like, oh, fine, I'll take all this money, shows, a picture of Shinji Ikari and a robot, I'll take it somewhere else, you can't do that.
Yeah, exactly. And we're gonna get to something the manga does different that I don't like.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we've gotten past Shinji making Toji look like a stooge and Rei not laughing at it, and we get to the point where they're about to do the reactivation test for Unit 0.
Yeah. I think we're on probably literally the same page.
Yeah, I don't like the fact here that they keep Rei, stone-faced. I don't like this. I actually liked in the series that when Shinji's in his unit and he's watching Gendo and Rei talk, I like the fact that she actually, smiles and is talkative and, seems normal. I don't like the fact that they didn't do that here. I hate that so much, because it just feels like you had potential to, give Rei, something...
more depth.
More depth, and you didn't do it. I'm not sure why.
I want to propose something that might be interesting, but probably is not the intention of Sadamoto. A lot of the anime has a lot of focus on Shinji's perception and jealousy of Gendo's relationship with others. So I'm wondering, because we only see Rei smiling and laughing through Shinji's lens. But in the manga, we just see it happen.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if maybe do we have this kind of juxtaposition where in the anime that's how Shinji saw it, whereas in the manga that's what actually happened. But because Rei is talking closely with Gendo and Gendo's expressing concern for Rei, Shinji is projecting himself onto Rei, saying that he would be happy, so Rei must be happy. Again, kind of an outlandish idea, but something to consider.
You're not far off with that, because you're right. The manga does tend to take less of a Shinji-centric view at times. So that's not completely improbable.
Yeah, and I definitely get this feeling with the manga that it's more like a film, whereas the anime is more like, this is how Shinji sees it, this is how Shinji perceives it. Shinji is the lens which we see, whereas I feel like in the manga it's more like there's a cameraman recording what's going on.
Exactly.
So, gosh, I always forget the name of the kid with the glasses and the camera.
Kensuke.
I always, I was describing that, I imagined Kensuke, running around Nerve with his camera,
He wishes.
I know.
Oh my god, he wishes.
I haven't seen him at all in the manga, which is really sad because he was so funny in the anime.
He's basically there most of the time when Toji's there. And the only time he's ever really by himself is when Shinji runs away and Shinji stumbles upon his camp in the middle of nowhere.
Well, in the show, he shines a lot on the battleship episode, and they took that out of the manga. So.
Oh yeah. So as I've been reading this, I've been noticing something that I don't know how I feel about it. There's a lot of like blatant objectification of Misato, and at the very least, like, Misato's an adult, and I get the feeling that she's more of a consenting participant, as was mentioned in the Dummy Plug podcast recently. But there's no reason you have to draw arrows like specifically pointing to her boobs, or like mentioning that she has a C cup, or drawing her with these like this obnoxiously thin waist. Like, I'm glad that, you know, like, Misato's getting the, like, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I'm comfortable or okay with it yet, because, and on top of that, like, Misato I feel like she flirts with Shinji a lot more in the manga, and that super duper bugs me, because that's totally inappropriate, and there's better ways to demonstrate that Misato is an inappropriate person and not have to use, like, Shinji, who's, like, a child. I'm channeling Asuka here, but...
You are right. Misato does try a bit harder to do that with Shinji in the manga, and I don't understand why. Like, it does bug me.
I feel like I don't know if it's, like, because it's so much of that, like, Shinji harem thing that's going on with the fandom, and I hate that kind of pandering, because it completely takes away, like, I think it really dumps down the relationship between the feminine characters in Shinji, honestly. I
agree with you, but just, I don't know, I sort of rationalize it. I talked about it last episode with Shinji, where they sort of start all of the characters off in a lower place, and then bring them to a higher place, like than the show does.
Yeah.
And
makes
so
sense.
it starts sort of worse so that it can get better.
And you know what? That makes a lot of sense, because that's how I feel about 2.0 to 3.0. And as like, I will never not have a chance to say this, I hate 2.0 so much. Like, I will always, whenever I talk 2.0, I'll mention that, because there's so much fan pandering. But then the reason I love 3.0 is because it's like Anno going, hey, F you, everything you wanted in 2.0 that you got, not real. So, yeah, that's a good point too. Let's see, going around, Misato's being a creep. Like, I mean, that's honestly what it is. I like the crop top, though. I'll
And then suddenly Misato began to sizzle and exploded. Oh wait, shit! This isn't Minecraft. Damn it! Oh, and then we come to the completely forced Shinji has to go and do what the adults should have done part of the show. It's like,
well, but, like, I mean, there was a good reason for that. Like, I mean, there was really no reason for Shinji to have to, like, oops, I landed and grabbed Rei's boob, ha.
They didn't actually do that in the manga.
No, he didn't actually grab her boob.
Well, my reference is always immediately to the anime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, thankfully this time Shinji, like, it's mostly...
There's so much that's done right.
Yeah, it's mostly shot for shot the same kind of thing. I do like Shinji's inner monologue a little bit more at this point. About, like, what's going on. But, yeah, it's like, thankfully, we don't get a sexual assault charge involved this time.
God, I know. Like, I don't know if I can talk about this yet, but the yogurt scene, how it was changed in the manga, like, consistently we see these changes, like, of things that were absolutely not necessary, that were taken out, or instead changed to make the characters better. And I won't go too much into it, because Asuka's really not around at this point too much, but Asuka is so much treated in such a more dignified manner in the manga, whereas in the anime, I feel like she's treated like kind of like a fan service character, and I don't know, even though it's obvious that Sadamoto doesn't really care for Asuka. She's still treated well, and the same can be said for Rei too. It's just, it's one of those things that are done really well, and it's tasteful, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, it does help, and it's also, it strengthens the theme about how the manga honestly does a better job with a lot of Eva than the show does.
Yeah. Well, and like someone mentioned earlier, it was, I mean, it's done 20 years after, so there's plenty of time to look at Eva and be like, this sucked, this sucked, this sucked, I'm going to change those things. I like this. Like, that whole...
Oh, that becomes very apparent with the time gap next volume. Like, holy God. Because, like, we're still in this kind of a place where things are not that different. Like, there are the changes that we are describing, but we haven't really hit, like, massive plot differences. We're going to hit that next volume hard.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing.
Yeah.
A very good thing.
Especially because of everything that I can remember, because my experience reading the manga is so, like, in chunks. Like, I read this volume, but then read, like, a completely different volume, so it's all out of order. So this is my first time really doing it in order, and from what I can gather, it definitely does a lot better of a job with all that, like, foreshadowing and setting up. And
I also like the fact Shinji has the wherewithal to be the one that gets off of Rei. He doesn't need to be told, will you get off of me?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I like the fact that he's got that much brain power to be like, oh, this is a very bad situation. I better stop this right now.
Yeah, and it always really weirds me out how, like, Rei just sat there. Sat there.
Like, in the manga, she's pissed.
Yes.
She's pissed that he's there. I mean, that was kind of that was in the show, too. Like, she was pissed that he had the glasses, but, like...
She hates the fact that he's there just entirely, and, like, when we start chapter 15 and Shinji's kind of just sitting there, like, going over what's just happened, and Rei passes him, and she just gives him this look like, you.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, I don't know, I don't feel like the manga handled this better, but this is, going to talk about kind of sensitive content here. One of the things that really supports my idea that Gendo just did not treat Rei well, if you're kind of picking up what I'm putting down,
Gendo doesn't treat any woman well.
But Rei's also 14, and when this happens to Rei just lays there when Shinji's on top of them. So, like, you get this creepy idea that, it kind of hits you.
Yeah.
Not going to go into specifics, but I think it's kind of...
Well, and then they begin to... And then Shinji, of course, being Shinji, brings up the fact that we're leading into the reactivation test.
Mm-hmm.
And we're hitting another point where this is probably going to feed into what you said about the show being through Shinji's eyes, so it may explain why this is different, but we get to Shinji saying he can't have faith in his father's work.
Yeah.
And in the series, Rei just bitch slaps him.
I kind of like that. I'm sad they took it out.
I loved that.
Yeah, I did too. You mean kind of like what you did at Ascend?
Oh my God, I did.
Yeah. By the way,
the follow through.
Yeah. By the way, so Lilith here was cosplaying as Racing Ray at Ascend, which was awesome, and we did an impromptu, like, unorganized Ava shoot on Saturday, and they smacked the shit out of Shinji. By the way,
I asked like 7 times, I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Because I'm not going to hold back. Are you sure? And he was like, do it. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And like, you could hear the impact. It was like 4th impact in there.
Yeah, and by the way, he's our newest member on the board, so that's awesome. Congratulations, you smacked him so hard he joined our boards.
Oh goodness.
That's awesome. But yeah, I liked Rei smacking Shinji.
Yeah, because it was just so, like, it really also fed into how Rei doesn't know how to handle their emotions and doesn't know how to express themselves. Because that's the big thing with Rei, is Rei doesn't know how to communicate with people. So what else does Rei do? Probably something they've seen Gendo do. Probably something, just this rush of emotion that they don't know how to handle, that they just smack Shinji. And this is what I love about Rei in the anime, and I know a lot of people would disagree with me. Their build-up is so subtle that suddenly when they change, it just slams you in the face. Like, it's just there. But when you rewatch it, you see these little tiny changes, and Rei develops the most with the least. And I think that's brilliant. But in the manga, it definitely is more spoon-fed. And, I mean, hello, pretentious Eva fan here. Like, I don't like being spoon-fed, you know? I want to think about it.
I think it seems like it's being spoon-fed because like, there was so little in the show.
Yeah, true.
There's a lot more between Shinji and Rei, and so they sort of have to get it all out there earlier so that they can do more with it.
True. And then, of course, with the addition of Asuka and then Kaoru very early on.
Yeah.
For better or for worse, yeah, definitely there's a lot of it that needs to kind of be shoved at us right now to make room, I suppose. But yeah, there is, like, more conversation between them in the beginning, which is nice.
Yeah, and again, Rei gives Shinji a "what the fuck are you doing" look.
But it doesn't have the same impact.
No, it doesn't. Like, Rei giving this look, and Shinji being taken aback by it, is not the same as Shinji getting, like, a palm to the face and, like, having to react to that one. It's like, oh shit, I just got slapped.
But then you also get this, like, really direct statement from Rei. The only thing in this world I have faith in is the commander. I have faith in him. Now, really interesting point about Rei, not referring to anyone by name, not on a personal level, nothing, refers to Gendo as the commander, but Rei has complete faith in him, but can't refer to him by name, like, question marks? Like, it's kind of weird. It's this like, there's always this, like, shield between Rei and other people that Rei puts up.
It is a little weird. Now that you mention it, that is a little weird. It's like, I would expect her to say something besides the commander, like even Commander Akari would make more sense.
It's just the commander.
Because she says that later in the volume, and it's like, why?
Yeah, and then, and it's even weirder because Rei does this with Asuka. Rei never talks about Asuka as, Miss Langley or, Asuka or whatever. It's the pilot of Unit 2.
Yeah.
Like, Rei just refers to people by their position, and I think it feeds into how much Rei does feel like a tool. Because, if Rei's constantly talked about as, the one who's gonna initiate impact or the pilot or blah, 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 but we don't get that in the manga. So
well, isn't that how Gendo refers to Rei? Like, the first child, right?
Yeah, in the anime, but in the manga, he calls her Rei. It's constantly Rei, do this, Rei, are you ready for this? Like, how are you feeling, Rei? It's so much more personal, and strangely, it's using this word on Gendo, fatherly. But at the same time, like, I don't know, it's just not fitting, because in the anime it makes sense, where it's like, why Rei would do that, because Rei is the pilot in the anime, but in the manga she's got a name and stuff, and then... But they still, I don't know. It's confusing.
It really is. Kind of makes me wonder about, like, is this just, like, simple oversight by them, or, like, I don't know. There just seems to be, like, something that we may be missing. Just, I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And probably a lot of it has to do with the idea of trying to make, I mentioned the shield that Rei puts up between himself and other people. It could be that, but, the view I take is very much about the interaction between people. So I'm thinking of how well the relationship between these people affect these. I think of the whole web rather than a few strands. So that could also be my view feeding into it.
That's not a bad way to think about it, though. That really isn't.
I would hope not.
Yeah.
If you have a bunch of strands and not a web, you're not even going to understand. But At the same time, you can't have a web without the strands.
Exactly.
Okay, so reactivation tests.
Yeah, by the way, we're not going over the reactivation test because there's nothing to go over, folks. I mean, if you've seen it in the show, yeah. But I do like first of all, I do like the dramatic putting the phone back on the hook and Fuyutsuki going, Ikari! It's like,
right here,
okay.
dude. What?
Yeah, like, that's the look Gendo has on his face.
Bro,
like,
I'm right next to you.
I'm right here. You don't need. Oh, fuck it.
God, every time I think of Gendo and Fuyutsuki, like, kind of slightly off track, I think of that image of the two cosplayers. Let me get it if my computer will like be fast enough. With the two.
Is it the two of them like drunk and like
with the martinis? Like, why are they see through? What is Fuyutsuki reaching for? I have to find it. It's so good.
I do like the picture of Gendo and Fuyutsuki looking out the window with like the "No Girls Allowed" sign as well.
Oh my God.
The window.
I feel like they're just these bros. Like, they have this like bromance.
Science bros.
Have you ever seen Little Karibo do Ava?
Yeah, I think doesn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Well, he did like one episode. It was a one shot for charity, and Ava.
Yeah. With the oh my gosh. Okay, so story time. Once. This is so off track, but I'll end this real quick. I'll get the image and then end it real quick. So I knew someone from Ireland who could tell me where all of those accents came from, and it was a hoot. Okay, wait, I found the image. Okay, here it is. All right, I'm just gonna send it to you guys.
Okay.
But back to like the manga. Every time I imagine them together, I just imagine this image.
They're also seriously still like they're still also still overdoing the whole. That is funny. They're also overdoing like the dramatics of this. It's like because it's like Fuyutsuki looking to the right and saying it's probably the fifth angel, and then like Gendo contemplating and Misato and Shinji going and then we get action again. It's like, did I really need two small panels of everybody just like with reaction shots? Like, did I really need this, guys?
I'm going back to like the idea of effect. Effect in manga relies entirely on visuals and expressions and idiosyncrasies in pen strokes and things like that. So having those 2 pages of like, oh my God, it's an angel, like is necessary because we don't have the noise, we don't have the flashes, we don't have everything that the anime can do. Anyway.
Why did I start laughing? I just you said something about that and it just made me laugh for some reason.
Oh, it's an angel?
It's a Gundam! Yes, Mr. Sherman, it's a Gundam. I do like the fact that Shinji is right there in the control room with everybody, at least for this one.
Yeah.
Because it shows how big of a dick Gendo is. It's like, why are you not in the Ava yet? Get in the robot! Go! Ow!
Oh my gosh. And like, I know you guys have like already talked about this, but like, going back to volume 1 with like Gendo, just he's such a dick. Mm-hmm. Like, you get him like smirking and just treating Shinji like dirt on the ground. And at least in like the anime, he's very cut and dry. Like, I need this, do this, or I don't need you here. But like, he's just rude.
Oh, he's straight up manipulating him.
Yeah, like. And then, like, bringing in the Ray, and he's like, perfect timing. I'm gonna make Shinji feel bad. Look at my son. Like, oh my God.
Shinji, get in the robot. No, fuck!
I have one question for you guys. Are you alive? Okay. So I'm kind of going through the Ramiel fight. I know I'm, like, skipping ahead.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Ramiel fight. I mean, there's not much difference to begin this. Honestly, there's really not much difference.
No, I'm trying... Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I noticed it seems like they let him stand in the beam for a lot less time, which is good.
Yes, they did. Oh no, Shinji's being shot. Buffer. We better stop that!
I also like how the laser follows him down. It's like, no, get back here.
Yeah, it did that in Rebuild, didn't it?
I don't remember. Oh my gosh, I should remember. I have that on DVD.
Yeah, I think in Rebuild they do what they do in the manga, and the beam follows down, because in the show it just keeps going straight. Even when Shinji is brought down, it just keeps firing straight and just starts blowing up other stuff.
Wait, come on, aren't you a physics person?
Yes,
yeah, I was gonna say,
it's not even physically possible for the laser to like follow Shinji.
I mean, if that angle, no.
Oh, okay.
It's like at that point, it's more like a tentacle than anything. Like,
I was gonna say, I'm actually really glad we have you for like this volume, because like science.
I don't know. He is pretty high in the air.
Well, I mean, to be like, okay.
How would he
you mean Ramiel? Yeah. I almost think the angle of descent it's not that bad. It's not. I don't even think it's like 45 degrees when Shinji is going like back down in.
But like, isn't it like a straight like laser and then it suddenly bends? Like.
Yeah, I mean, Ramiel could tilt it like from the source.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would have to come like it couldn't like it's like not like a laser can't really do like a bendy straw thing. Like it has to be straight. I'm pretty sure. Right? Like, am I getting that?
Unless there were very large magnets, like, right there.
Ramiel just, like, shoots out some magnets, like, bruh, I got it.
I'm gonna need these later.
Okay, so Ramiel is master of magnets? Oh, god
Honestly,
damn it.
okay, let me just put it out there that Ramiel is the most powerful angel. I'm just gonna lay it out.
Oh, no, it is. Oh, no, it is.
Ramiel uses supersonic echolocation. Okay, that's what I theorize the singing is for. It makes a drill, but somehow doesn't physically run out of, like, body mass. It just produces this drill out of, like, thin air. It's crystalline. Like, you cannot break it, like, without the entire power of Japan.
Ramiel's breaking the laws of physics.
Ramiel is the most, like, everyone jokes, like, oh, Ramiel best girl, but let's be honest, Ramiel best girl.
Which set of laws is Ramiel breaking most? Like, physics or thermodynamics or matter or...
I feel like... I don't know. I feel like Kamal is the...
That's why I'm asking Kamal. Like,
I was thinking of matter, though. Like
what's he breaking the hardest? Like...
Probably conservation of matter.
Yeah, I was going to say, because, like, now that I think about it, it shouldn't be possible for an object of finite size to be able to produce another object of infinite length. Like he does.
So, I mean, there's the one angel with the shadow.
True, but
That's almost
is that even,
math,
like,
almost
scientifically
physics.
sound?
It's mathematically sound.
Okay, well there.
That actually,
Is Ramiel mathematically sound?
He's an octahedron. That's math, right?
Man, you're putting that college degree to use, aren't you?
More scientifically sound than Ramiel.
Yeah, by the way, this guy just graduated college, and look what he's doing with his degree.
I have a math degree.
Yeah, he's analyzing Ava with a math degree. Like, oh Lord.
I can hit some instruments and sing.
I know history. Like, I'm like bottom of the totem pole. I'm a history major. Ah, fuck. Oh!
I feel it. Okay. Oh, here's Kensuke being a dirk.
A dir.
I'm sorry, I think I fell behind. Where are we now? Are we just clicking through the Ramiel fight scene?
Because I want to find specifically, I'm trying to find the scene where Rei and Shinji are staring at the moon, and they have that conversation. Does someone know?
That's like 17 or that's like chapter 17 or 18.
Yeah, I'm on chapter 17 right now. I'm just skipping ahead because I really want to get to that. And
we're going through 16 and 17 pretty quickly because it's the same.
There's really not much difference.
Okay.
There's not much difference between the show and 16. It's just basically minor differences. They don't talk about. Wait a second. We kind of can't ignore the Shinji going into his own head.
Yeah.
In 16. We kind of got to talk about that one.
There are a lot more, like, real flashbacks in the manga of Shinji going back to his past.
Yeah, we're actually getting, like, Shinji as a small... Why does this kid not have an umbrella? Like, what the hell? Like, yeah, Shinji's, like, walking in the rain without an umbrella, and he finds an abandoned bicycle. And he goes to take it because he doesn't think anything's wrong with it, and then he gets stopped and taken to the police station.
Sorry, I'm just illuminating the background by singing Linkin Park.
All right, that works.
I'm just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, and
effect.
I think the most telling thing about this entire flashback is your father gave us enough money for that. Wow, that's friggin' heartless. It's okay, so Shinji is basically a commodity?
I mean, yeah, oops, that's my alarm. I've talked about this before, but I don't think either Gendo or Yui ever actually really cared about Shinji. Shinji was always a tool of instrumentality, especially more to Yui than to Gendo. Because at the very least in the end, Gendo's oh, well, I'm sorry about what I did to Shinji. I guess I was a shitty father. Whereas Yui was just never really left Shinji anything but, here's this, giant cyborg mecha that you're gonna destroy the Earth with, and if things don't go my way, well, I'll make it.
Yeah, and the show doesn't give us a lot with Shinji to feel bad for him.
I felt bad for Shinji.
I did too, but to a lot of people, you don't get a lot. To a lot of people, they don't get a lot to feel bad for him.
And because most people are oh, he should be a typical protagonist and just do everything and not cry about it, even though he's 14 years old and has a mental illness.
You've listened to me when I've railed on Hero Yui from Gundam Wing and how I think that him being a character around the same time in part gave people an unrealistic view of how protagonists should be.
Well, and also considering how protagonists in general in anime are, they're always adventurous and outgoing, and Shinji really breaks that idea of, well, the protagonist always has to be I'm gonna do stuff and be awesome and power of friendship and blah blah blah. Eva, I don't know. I don't want to use the deconstruction anime term because that sounds so pretentious, but it really does challenge
what Eva does, and a lot of people. What Eva does with Shinji. This goes to something that not a lot of people have watched, and it's a shame. You should go watch this. Shinji is a more, what's the word I'm looking for here? He's basically Amuro Ray, but more depressed and with more problems. Because if you've ever watched the original Gundam, Amuro Ray is kind of in the same boat as Shinji. He still has his parents, even though his father goes, mental due to oxygen deprivation, and he's caught up in this war he doesn't want to be part of, and he has these internal struggles with if he's going to pilot the Gundam, if he's going to help White Base survive. So, Shinji's kind of modeled after Amuro, but, with, not the new type stuff, throw that out, because, that's Gundam's shtick, and, a bit more realistic than even what I would consider realistic with Amuro. But yeah, he's the new version of Amuro Ray in a way.
Well, and I do how I mentioned earlier, because I do feel Shinji is the most realistic protagonist of that age, but he's not necessarily realistic. Like I mentioned earlier, he's more of a trope of depression, whereas in the manga he's got a lot more development, and you can really, like you said, thinking back on it, I actually can agree that, you have more reason to feel bad for him in the manga, because you get the idea of how poorly he was treated. And whereas in the anime, you're just oh, he's got a shitty father, okay, whatever. You don't really get to see, how truly awful his Gendo is.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I like how in the manga, Misato's halfway through her plan, and then she finally asks Gendo, "Hey, can we do this?"
I love. I'm just gonna put it out there. I love Misato. I love Misato in every single franchise of Eva that I ever see. Misato is just so perfect. Hats off to Misato. You go, Misato.
Yeah, and now that we've caught up to 17, I also like how Ray interacts with Shinji when he's in the hospital.
Oh my god, yes.
I like this better than I do in the show, mostly because we don't get the stupid gag about him nearly exposing himself.
oh, boners, 14-year-olds, really funny, hid penises. Yeah.
And she drops a great line. It's like, it won't take long to rewrite the personal data, and Shinji just gets this indignant look in his eyes, and Rei's just like, okay, you're gonna prove me wrong then? You want to fight me, bro?
1v1 me, noob, I'll take you.
Yeah, actually, I probably would take Rei in a fight over Shinji.
I don't know.
Final destination.
Wow, I caught when I muted my mic this time, guys.
Awesome.
Like I said, with Rei, like, the pride is just so uncharacteristic, and it'll probably take some time for me to warm up to, because I feel like there's better ways to develop Rei than doing that. You know, like, Rei just seems mean. Like,
she kind of, well, to be fair, she kind of is, and it's gonna get toned down as we go along. It's gonna feel more natural as we go along.
Well, and it's like I said, it's probably because I'm gonna like warm up to it and stuff. But honestly, I'm still right now where I am. I do prefer how the anime did it, because the whole stone cold like thing, you know, with Rei doesn't really know how to interact with people. Rei just addresses people very plainly. Like, I liked that, you know, so to speak.
I sort of see it here, like what you were talking about before, how she's just sort of seen as a tool, and she just sort of sees herself as a tool and doesn't really have time for people who aren't.
Yeah.
And so she sees Shinji as this inefficiency that she just doesn't have time for.
Yeah. Well, and whereas I don't know, I feel like in the manga, like, the word indignant came up from someone. That's just so not a trait of, I feel, personally, that's not a trait of someone who sees himself as a tool. They wouldn't go, well, prove me wrong, you know, like how Rei said in the anime, said, well, you can get up or you cannot, but either way, I'm going to report and do what I do. Whereas in this, like, Rei's challenging Shinji, I don't know. It's just, maybe I can't really formulate my thoughts well, but it just doesn't seem Rei to me.
No, you're so used to Rei being a certain way that when this is a completely different way of interpreting Rei, and it's weird to see it.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, I like the taking of the liberties, but I feel like some of that original intent is kind of lost.
Yeah, agreed. It is. There is some of the original intent that's lost, but again, it's either liberty taking or it's how Sadamoto views everyone.
True.
So it may just be Sadamoto's version of everything.
Yeah, and like I mentioned, you can tell he's biased towards Rei.
Yeah, so, he definitely is, which is not a bad thing.
Arguably, from the perspective of someone who views all of the characters in Eva equally significant, I think it is a problem, because then when you take favor over a character, especially with the problem that the Eva fandom has of constantly putting Rei and Asuka in like some sort of waifu battle, it is a problem, because then you have like, oh, the Rei's the bias, so Rei wins the Shinji Bowl, blah blah blah, and it's like, no, you're missing the point, stop it. The fandom is so easily like fed into their like strange like Shinji harem fantasies. Like, I just see this all the time, and it just bugs me. It's like, yo, what? You're missing the point.
This is, I'm afraid this is, we should have never exposed you to Raising Project.
Oh my god.
That was like the worst thing ever.
I'm just gonna keep my comments about that to myself, but...
You mean that it's not really that good? No, you're right. You're completely correct.
Also, the story of Eva is the story of, no, you missed the point.
Honestly, and I mean, it's good. I don't think I would have as much of a problem with what Sadamoto does if people didn't already, like, pit Asuka and Rei especially against each other, because now people are like, oh, canonically Rei wins, so Rei's better, and it's like, no, Rei's not better, Rei's different, grow up and learn, but, I actually have something I want to talk about that's interesting.
Okay.
So, one of the things, that I really, really love about Eva is the symbols everywhere. You know, I'm sure if Asuka would hear, they would talk really excitedly about it, and I've spoken about this as far as the music goes, but everything in this scene, I don't feel like the scene where Rei and Shinji are sitting next to the Evas in the moonlight, I don't think anything I don't think the manga could have even come close. No matter how much interaction or difference Rei and Shinji had, I don't think it pales in comparison, because we have in the anime, first of all, we have the moon, which is the symbol of Lilith, Rei's symbol, this huge moon, just illuminating the background of the characters, and it's so obviously pointing like, this is Rei's moment, this is important, this is about Rei. And then we have Crystalline Night Sky playing in the background of the scene, and as I've discussed in my panels about Eva and music, the piano is a symbol of Rei, is Rei's instrumental symbol. So we really have this idea that this scene is Rei. You know, this moonlight sky, this battle is ultimately going to be about Rei and who Rei is. And the Rei says so very little, but so very much. And that scene will always be one of my favorites, because, you know, they're talking about the reasons to pilot the Eva. You know, Shinji and Rei are going back and forth. Rei has very short answers until Rei finally says, I pilot it because I have a connection with everyone. Everything has a connection to me. And then you have, on top of that, with the symbol of the moon, Lilith, it's just this brilliant foreshadowing, this brilliant, like, hinting at Rei as Lilith, ding, 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 like, big flashing sign, like, hello, like, Rei is the soul of the giant thing in the basement, so...
Yeah, and we don't get the moon in any shot of that in the manga until the very end, which, you're right, that does kind of... I don't like that, because...
Yeah.
The moon, the way they set the mood in the show, they did a way better job.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like the animation style, they did the mood better, at least.
Mm-hmm. And, like... just the dramatic lighting and the pauses between the answers, between the characters, everything in that scene was so perfect as a way to not kind of... I mentioned pauses before. That scene is not really, I don't feel like it's a build-up to the Ramiel fight. I feel like it's a pause from. Because it sits the characters down, and you get the first real look into their minds and their motivations.
Yeah.
And it's just them. It is purely Lilith and their children. And you get this idea that Rei pilots the Eva for everyone, because Rei is connected to all the humans on Earth, because the humans are the children of Lilith. We don't get that in the manga. Like, you get really good interaction between the characters, but there's so much subtleties, and as was mentioned, mood that's lost. Which is unfortunate. And Rei says, you know, you won't die, I'll protect you, of course. Rei said that in the series originally, but I feel like really what that scene was about the idea of motherhood, because that does play a role in Eva, where we have Rei having this motherly protection, not only over Shinji, but over everyone. Rei wants to protect everyone, and you get the first look into Rei's real selflessness. And it's touching but tragic, because you know Rei really... You know the real reason Rei thinks that is because, you know, of how Gendo's treated them throughout the series. Like, well, you have to do what everyone else want and you're just a tool. But there's also this, like I mentioned earlier, the idea of a mother wanting to protect, you know, the children. So
one of the things I liked about it is, like, the last couple chapters have been different people talking about Rei. Mm-hmm. And you finally get this scene of Rei talking about Rei.
Yeah. You you finally get Rei talking about themselves and reflecting on themselves as a person. And, you know, as mentioned before, Rei constantly takes their personality from what other people think of them. But for once, you finally get, this is what I think of myself. It's such a bold statement from Rei, who bases who they are on the imprint of others. So, anyway, sorry I talked so much. That's literally my favorite scene.
What's a good scene? Also, there's still not much differences between what's going on in the manga and what's going on in the show, kids. Like, I hate to say it, I think the only real difference with the fight itself is...
Numa.
Well, when the first shot gets launched, and instead of Shinji getting, like, you know, toppled over and kind of, like, cowering there, he has the wherewithal to respond to the orders that Misato gives, and he actually, like, grabs the rifle and like, just moves on his own. Like, he's actually thinking more tactically, which is nice.
Well, and, you know, I feel like this is kind of, it's a small addition, but it's important, because throughout the manga, we have Shinji actually, like, making his own steps forward, instead of having to be told by other people what to do. And I still don't know how I feel about this, because I felt like it was important that Shinji always did what other people told him, that Shinji never really had any motivation himself to do anything, you know, because of Misato's very important line, you'll realize the importance of going forward once you take the first step. I don't think Shinji ever gets to have that, the real impact of that statement in the manga if he's always already taking the first step.
I think the difference is sort of this looking at the original show from however many years away, because the show was Anno talking about his own feelings.
True.
And so the state that Anno was in was sort of in this absolutely despondent state. And Sadamoto is sort of responding to Eva rather than responding to
Anno.
To Anno.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. I can see that. And yeah. And I think for me, I really do love all those I do like all those quotes in Eva and those moments. So for me personally, when those are taken away, it's kind of like, sad. So, but yeah, that is a good point. And it's probably also my own reviewing and, you know, comparison of the two different modes of storytelling in this case. I'm pretty biased. Like, I don't know if it was obvious, but, like, I'm putting it out there. Like, I'm totally biased to the original series, even though the manga totally does a ton of stuff better.
Oh, just wait till you keep reading. You may have to rethink that as we go farther along.
Yeah, I'm, like, missing, like, a whole chunk.
Like,
when you get everything...
The equivalent of EOE is... I love EOE, and the manga did it better.
Yeah, the manga did EOE way better. Like, hands down, 10 out of 10.
Hands down, 10 out of 10.
Pretty much.
Would impact again.
Though this scene is tough because this is just such a visual episode that you can't do it.
Does Ray talk about Shinji crying in his sleep in the show? I don't remember this part.
I might be far behind. Where are you guys? Are you in 19 already?
I'm still diddling around on 18 because I'm just looking at it and like it just for me like I love the sound effects in Ava, so reading it gets kind of hard because I can't hear it. I can't hear the and like the I can't hear that, and that's so much part of the fun for me because I'm a musician, I'm sensitive to audio. Who would have thought? But like, do you ever get like the little tingles on the top of your head? When you hear sounds? Yeah, that's what the series does for me, is when I watch it and I have, like, my big headphones on, it's like, oh, that was cool. So I'm just like, I will catch up to you.
There are, spoiler alert, we keep talking like this because there are, again, very minor differences in what's really going on between, you know, the manga and the show for, like, the exact same set pieces. Like, me and Kamal have harped on this before. In, like, the first two episodes, the minor differences are still existing here, so we don't have...
Why does Ray have the shield?
What's that?
Why doesn't Ray have the shield?
No, she does. No, she does.
Oh, all right, I see
it. It's
entirely disintegrated.
I see
disintegrated.
This. Okay.
It was only meant to last for 17 seconds, and, well, those 17 seconds kind of came and went very quickly. Also, it probably took less time, because... I think they probably underestimated just how powerful Romual's blasts really were. And then Romual tries to melt Ray.
And now we get this very nice...
Rested pepperoni, Ray.
Yeah. Oh no, my macaroni and cheese, why?
Hey, Romual, can you microwave this for me? Thanks, bro.
Hey, can you microwave? No, you overdid it.
Can you just imagine, like, cracking open a beer, like, on Romual's drill? Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Rob.
Dude, Romual must be so great at parties.
Yeah, well, I mean, they got to be outdoor parties, because I'm not sure he's fitting inside the house, but...
Oh.
Damn it, Romeo, you broke the door again.
He always sings along to Piano Man. Always.
Wait, what key is Piano Man in?
What's that?
What key is Piano Man in?
I'm not sure.
Because...
You're better at this than we are.
Okay, I'm going to Google it. You guys do your talking. I'm going to Google it and maybe talk about why that might not work.
Okay. So...
All right, so we get this very obvious parallel scene with...
Shinji.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then cracks open case. I do like the fact that Rey's kind of in a delirium a little bit as she's awoken. So she can't see Shinji clearly, so she thinks that it might be Gendo. Yeah, because she does say Commander Akari, which... Okay, why can she say Commander Akari now, but she couldn't earlier?
Maybe because she thinks she's... I don't know.
Plot hole.
Okay, so back to Ramiel being able to sing the Piano Man.
Yeah.
That really would not be in key.
Really?
Because Ramiel sings... Okay, so Ramiel's already out of tune. Ramiel sings an F. The pitch class F, or 5, if you do set music, and numeric music. So the key of Piano Man is in C, and F is the 4 of C, and it would constantly be, like, predominant. Like Ramiel wouldn't even get to, like... Well, I mean... Yeah, Ramiel wouldn't even get to, like, the right chords ever. Like,
that's why he's so bad at parties.
Well, like, if you play Comme Ce Sir Todd, then it'll work. Cause
how did someone even deduce what key Ramiel's in?
I listened to Ramiel humming, and I hummed it and got it to a keyboard and pressed keys until it was the right one, because I don't have perfect pitch. So, and then I figured it out, and then I was like, this is slightly out of tune, this is sharp, and then I pressed F2 flat, so...
Wow. Okay, that's different. Well, you do have the training to do this, so it does make sense. Oh, no. And...
So, yeah.
Crap. Okay, anyways.
That's pretty much the end. Shinji carries Rei out of the wreckage. There's a nice little internal monologue. Shinji compares Rei to the moon that floats in the darkness. And... yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Next is Asuka comes to Japan.
Oh, God. Next is going to be... yeah, now, okay. You know how we've been talking about how things are going to get really different? Oh, hi again.
Okay, what was the last thing you heard me say?
The fact that you were able to deduce what the hell Ramiel's key was.
Yeah, so long story short, basically I sang it and played it on piano and then took it to a tuner.
Damn, that's talent.
Well, so, like, I'm kind of the official cult leader of the cult of Ramiel. Praise Ramiel. But, yeah, so... I have a Ramiel hanging in my living... You saw it!
Yeah, they have a two-dimensional Ramiel hanging in their living room. That's pretty funny. I mean, I wish it was 3D, but fuck it, it worked.
I tried so bad, but I was so drunk.
And you found the T-shirt, the "If you call me Angel, you better be referring to the Screaming Blue Octahedron."
Yeah.
I have a shirt that just says Ramiel on it, and it's got, like, the AT field and stuff. I have an embarrassing amount of Ava clothes. Like, I'm actually wearing a JoJo shirt right now. Like, hey, I'm a weeb, what's up?
Is that the one you bought at ASUN?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Have you seen the giant crystal Ramiel?
Yeah! It's like $200. Why? Like,
it's just a crystal octahedron.
Because people will pay for shit. It doesn't matter how much it is.
I've been so tempted. Like, okay, there's this, like, Crystal Rey figure, and, like, I want it, but the shipping would kill me. Like, I would die.
So is the shipping more than the actual item?
Sometimes it can be. The shipping for my GOE books were, like, about probably a little bit more than the books altogether.
Dang.
I should have gone with DHL, but...
Well, You live and learn.
Exactly.
So, do you have any last moment thoughts about what you have read with Volume 3, Lilith?
I don't know. I think my last thoughts overall is that I don't think this is going to be my favorite volume. And as aforementioned, because of some of my favorite scenes missing, and because of just how much Rei has changed, you know, like, Rei's my daughter, like, why would you do this? But no, I think it's going to warm up to me, and, you know, maybe rereading the whole series again, especially once I own the entire series, my opinion will change. But I think definitely a lot of the effect is lost, but the characterization is better. So there's, you know, you win some, you lose some.
Yeah, and this is with minor differences going on between the show and the manga. Next volume, throw what you know basically about the show out the window, because we ain't going to be near it.
Oh, great.
Oh, yeah.
Like
We take a very divergent path starting with Volume 4.
The biggest thing early on is the whole episode 8 is just briefly mentioned.
It's condensed into, like, what, 3 pages, 4 pages?
It's
what
like,
was episode 8 again?
That's Asuka Strikes.
Yeah. Like,
oh my god!
The whole fight on the warship, it's like a TV playing, like, yeah, this happened a while ago.
But if you read it, it honestly makes more sense as setup. I hate to go into wrestling terms with it, but it's better booking of Asuka. It's better, like, pre-debut.
Asuka still gets a fantastic scene, like an intro scene.
Yeah, that's the thing. Asuka is...
Well, here's the thing. Asuka's fantastic.
Exactly, but they book Asuka better before her debut than, like... Then they do. Like, Episode 8 kind of doesn't do booking of Asuka very well, but, like, the booking in the manga of Asuka to start off with is just, like, spot on.
Okay, I don't watch wrestling. What is booking?
It's basically how you have a wrestler play out on television. So, like, how you book their matches, or it's basically, like, how you set up their matches, how you set up their promos, how you set up their character.
So it's setup.
Yeah, it's set up. It's amazing setup for Asuka.
Okay, cool. Well, I look forward to it.
Basically, instead of, like, having Asuka kind of be, like, wishy-washy,
wait, Asuka wishy-washy? What?
Well, basically, instead of her struggling in the fight with the Angel, she's Goldberg and just absolutely eviscerates the Angel.
She just walks in like, hey, mofos, I'm Mofo and Asuka, trying not to swear here.
Yeah, basically, she does a Stone Cold Steve Austin, arise, kill Angel, leave.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, it's great. It is amazing.
Alright, I'm excited now. I'm going to be reading this, like, right now.
Told you. Alright, but we will get into the full details of Asuka and her journey to Japan the next time we convene the book club, True Believers. So, for myself, and for Lilith, and for Kamal, till next time.
See ya.
Bye.
Don't get too sad. Say